16 days of activism against gender-based violence, which focused primarily on ending digital violence against women and girls. The domestic abuse charity Refuge has experienced a 62% increase in referrals of technologically facilitated abuse from last year. This abuse can take the form of stalking via tracking devices, non-consensual sharing of intimate images, and recording devices being used by abusers to monitor victims. So will the Minister confirm what steps she's taken with the Home Secretary to help tackle violence against women and girls, with specific reference to technologically facilitated abuse?
The Honourable Lady is right, and Refuge do brilliant work in supporting victims of tech-based abuse. I've been there to their offices, I've seen their team working really hard on this. This government is determined to have a cross-government approach to this. I'm working really closely with the Home Office, DCIT, looking at how we can really get to the grips with this. We'll be publishing our cross-government Vogue strategy imminently, and there will be a specific reference on tech abuse in that strategy.
Rebecca Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The government's dithering on grooming gangs has gone on for so long that it's now unlikely that any report into what's happened will be published before the next general election. So does the Minister think that this is acceptable, and will she commit to publishing interim findings before the next general election?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Look, the grooming gang scandal was one of the darkest moments in this country's history, with vulnerable young people being failed time and time again. The Prime Minister, the Home Secretary and I are determined to finally get victims and survivors the answers that they need. And it was he, the Prime Minister, who brought the first ever major prosecution on the Asian grooming gangs. It was this government that implemented the statutory inquiry recommendations, and it is this government that has issued a national inquiry, and we will get on with supporting victims and girls.
Nick Goldman, Liberal Democrat spokesperson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure the whole House agrees that women's safety is of paramount importance. In my constituency of Chelmsford, the City Council has helped to develop a Women's Safety Charter, with local premises pledging their commitment to a range of training of staff to consider and prioritise women's safety as standard. The evidence shows that overwhelming perpetrators of violence against women and girls are not strangers, as some may have us believe, but they are men already known to their victims. So would the Minister agree with me that women's safety will be addressed best not through stoking division and fear, but instead supporting and funding initiatives like Chelmsford City Councils, where the real work to protect women and girls is done?
Thank you. I totally agree with the Honourable Lady, and can I commend Chelmsford Council's work in this regard. If we're really going to halve the levels of violence against women and girls over the course of a decade, this isn't just going to be for government departments in Whitehall to tackle. This needs everyone across the country taking action. Local initiatives like the one in Chelmsford doing great work, and I encourage all local councils and local businesses to get involved, to change that culture, to really drive forward what we need in order to tackle this abuse.
Rachel Bassett.
Question 5, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm grateful to my honourable friend, and data about tribunal cases will continue to be collected in the usual way. We know that disabled people are more likely to be impacted by unfair dismissals. Employees already have day one protections against discrimination, and recent developments in the Employment Rights Bill do not change that protection. This government is absolutely committed to supporting disabled people to thrive at work, including by introducing disability pay gap reporting and stronger flexible working rights.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. While the Equality Act applies, we know that workers are often made unfairly dismissed as a result of the limit coming in at 2 years currently, 1 year under the last Labour government, and we know we're reducing it to 6 months, but the risk of disabled workers, ethnic minority workers and young workers being dismissed still holds. So will the government monitor unfairly dismissed workers under 6 months to ensure that their protected characteristics are not a feature for dismissal?
I thank my honourable friend for her tireless campaigning on this important issue. It is right that we ensure disabled people are protected at work. She may also wish to approach the Ministry of Justice as the department which collects data on protected characteristics across employment tribunals.
Jim Shannon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank the Minister for that answer. Minister, many ladies, when they're dismissed unfairly, feel that they've been dismissed unfairly, whereas men would not have found themselves in that position. When it comes to equality, it's really important that ladies feel they get the same opportunity and the same fairness within the law. How can the Minister ensure that that happens for ladies, as against the present system, which seems to be unfairly dismissed towards them?
I thank the honourable gentleman for his question, and he is absolutely right. Everybody should be able to feel able to work without fear of discrimination, and he is right that we must make sure, and we do make sure, that the law protects all.
Dr. Lawrence Sullivan.
Number 6, please, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I will answer questions 6 and 13 together. Gender equality isn't just the right thing to do, it is imperative to unlock growth. A 5% increase in female employment could boost the economy by up to £125 billion every year. That's why we're backing women in work and those starting businesses by supporting the Invest in Women Code, expanding access to flexible working, funding childcare for working families, and ensuring employers have a plan to reduce their gender pay gap.
Dr. Lawrence Sullivan.
Thank you. In Croatia, we have some fantastic small businesses led by women across a diverse sector of businesses, such as House of Layla, Nels Caf, More Care Services, Enbridge Consulting, Mercedes and Pagurlis, alongside many more in Croatia. Will the Minister recognise the importance of women-led businesses to the local economy and economic empowerment, and set out how this government is going to support women leaders thrive?
Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy to join my honourable friend in recognising the fantastic women-led businesses in Gravesham and the impact that women-led businesses have on our communities and our economy. DBT's Venture Capital Unit has recently launched its second female founder cohort, and government-backed initiatives such as the Women's Business Council, FTSE Women Leaders and the Invest in Women's Task Force, whose first anniversary I was proud to join the Chancellor in marking yesterday, are making a difference to make sure that Britain is the best place for women to start or grow their businesses.
I read it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Danielle Stone, Northamptonshire's brilliant Police Fire Crime Commissioner, has just launched the Women's Charter, which brings together employers, community groups and the public sector to create safer workspaces for women across my constituency. Will the Minister join me in commending Danielle's work and set out what the government can do to encourage more partnerships like this across the UK?
Mr. Speaker, I thank my honourable friend for sharing the work of the Northamptonshire Women's Charter and his commitment as well to tackling violence against women and girls. All employers have a duty to take reasonable steps to prevent sexual harassment in the workplace, and we're further strengthening this through the Employment Rights Bill. But statutory compliance on its own is not enough, and that's why we're engaging businesses, trade unions and civil society on improving workplace culture. Local initiatives like the Northamptonshire Charter are exactly the kind of partnership we want to see.
Colin Lockhart.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the Minister not agree that women would be more empowered in the workspace or on the sports field if their changing space or their toilets were not invaded by biological males?
She will be aware of the Supreme Court judgment, which gave clarity on this, and we do expect that all providers will follow that ruling.
Alex Easton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Has the Minister considered using all the government's levers in female-dominated low-paid sectors, including uprating the minimum wage and strengthening fair work standards in social care, early years and the cleaning industry?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The honourable member will be aware of the work that we are doing to make sure that we do support women in all ways that we can.
We're going to stop it. Member Petticoat.
Number 1, Mr. Speaker.
State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This government is reinforcing our commitment to championing the rights of disabled people. This month we celebrate Disability History Month, and we mark the International Day of Persons with Disabilities last week. And this year also marks the 30th anniversary of the Disability Discrimination Act. We will continue our work to boost opportunities for disabled people, including through developing our plan for disability, which will outline our priorities for removing barriers for disabled people.
Member Petticoat.
Mr. Speaker, women in rural areas often have to travel long distances to reach a refuge, a police station or basic support services. What assessment has the Minister made of the impact these distances have on safety of victims of domestic abuse, and what action is being taken to close the rural support gap?
I do recognise the challenge that the Honourable Lady presents. That's why, through the development of our Violence Against Women and Girls strategy, we've heard from victims in rural areas to understand what more is needed to make sure that they can access the services and the support that they need.
Total Triton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Western Isles Women's Aid in my constituency helped 180 women last year. Their refuge is working at capacity, yet their funding is uncertain. That's why my fundraiser on Friday will raise funds for the organisation. Mr. Speaker, over 1,800 women reported domestic abuse in the Highlands 10 years ago. Last year, the figure was closer to 2,800. Does the Minister agree that in rural and island communities it takes a lot of courage for women to report domestic abuse, even though, as we can see, the figures say there is no less incidence of domestic abuse?
I do agree with my honourable friend. It does take enormous courage to come forward, and there are additional barriers that women in rural communities can often experience. I do commend him for his fundraising efforts. Alongside that, we're investing more in support services for victims, and I hope that he will see, when we publish our Violence Against Women and Girls strategy, that we've heard directly from those living in rural communities to understand what more is needed to put in place the support they require.
Secretary of State Claire Coutinho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Jennifer Melley, a black nurse with a faultless record, was racially abused by a convicted paedophile for correctly referring to his biological sex in a medical context. She was called the N-word multiple times in her workplace, and yet she was the one who was punished by her NHS Trust and the Nursing and Midwifery Council, and she is still suspended from the job she loves 18 months later. Does the Secretary of State agree that the dedicated nurses who are being punished for asserting that biological sex is real are facing a gross injustice? And will she meet with Jennifer to hear her story?
I'm grateful to the right honourable lady. No one should face racist abuse or violence in any workplace, and that includes within the NHS. As we've also seen with the Sandy Peggy case, coming to these decisions in a timely manner is incredibly important. I hope this matter can be resolved as swiftly as possible, and I would of course be happy to meet with Jennifer to hear her experiences.
Claire Coutinho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the Secretary of State doing that. Now, does the Secretary of State believe that an 8-year-old child with autism can consent to a medical pathway that will leave them infertile and without sexual function for the rest of their life? If not, will she tell the Health Secretary herself to stop this puberty blocker experiment, which will biologically castrate children?
Mr. Speaker, we are implementing all of the recommendations of the CAS review. That also included establishing a clinical trial through the Pathways Trial Research Protocol, which has undergone a thorough independent review, has received all regulatory and ethical approvals. This was a recommendation that Baroness Cass brought forward, along with many others, and it's one that we are taking forward.
Russell.
Question number 5, Mr. Speaker. There is a massive problem with childcare for mothers doing PhDs. Even if you are fully funded for your university research, essentially by the government, you will not be eligible for free childcare hours. This affects both parents. The average PhD stipend is just £15,000 a year, but the average nursery place is £12,500 a year. Will the Minister look into this?
Mr. Speaker, I'd be happy to discuss this further with my honourable friend. We are committed to reviewing childcare support and making sure it is accessible and simple for families. Of course, PhD students are not eligible for some elements of support, but depending on income, may be eligible for certain hours. But also, student parents are eligible for the universal 15 hours of early free education, and this is available also to all 3- and 4-year-olds, regardless of family circumstances.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions. Sarah Aldey.
Question number 1, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the whole House will join me in sending our deepest sympathy and condolences to the family and loved ones of Lance Corporal George Hooley of the Parachute Regiment, who died yesterday in Ukraine. Lance Corporal Hooley was injured in a tragic accident away from the front lines while observing Ukrainian forces testing a new defensive capability. His life was full of courage and determination. He served our country with honour and distinction around the world in the cause of freedom and democracy, including as part of the small number of British personnel in Ukraine. Mr. Speaker, I place his name on record today to express our gratitude and respect and to affirm that his service will never be forgotten. Mr. Speaker, on Monday I hosted President Zelensky, President Macron and Chancellor Merz in Downing Street. We must redouble our efforts. The UK, Europe and our allies will stand shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine, stand up to Putin's aggression and work to deliver a just and lasting peace. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Sir Olney.
Mr. Speaker, a couple in my constituency fled persecution from the Egyptian authorities, who accused them of being traitors and terrorists due to their work as professional journalists. They gained refugee status here in 2021 and are now 3 months away from being eligible for indefinite leave to remain. The UK is their home, but their stability and family life are being threatened by changes in government policy. I'm concerned that the government has lost sight of the real-life impact that these changes will have on working families living here legally, and with details of transitional arrangements still under consultation, can the Prime Minister provide clarity regarding the transitional support available to families already on the pathway to indefinite leave to remain? Thank you.
Well, can I say this country will always be compassionate in relation to refugees and comply with our full obligations under the various conventions. It is important that we address some of the challenges we face at the moment, but we mustn't lose sight that we've always been a compassionate country that welcomes refugees to our shores.
Rachel Maskell.
Mr. Speaker, while the last government was indifferent to child poverty, this government's driving mission must be to eradicate child poverty, and the strategy is a first step on that path. Over the first 1,001 critical days in pregnancy and early years, poverty contributes to malnourished babies, developmental delay, hypothermia and poor life outcomes. This is unacceptable. So will the Prime Minister lift pregnant women and babies out of poverty in York and across the country in this Parliament and ensure that we relieve poverty over the first 1,001 critical days?
Can I thank her for raising this? And I'm proud that babies born today will have a better start in life thanks to our decisions. Mr. Speaker, I am particularly concerned by maternity services, and that's why we've commissioned a review so every mother is heard, gets proper care at what should be a special time, and currently too many are failed. We're funding healthy babies services in 75 of the most deprived areas, and we've taken action to save parents up to £500 a year on infant formula. It is a moral mission of this government to lift children out of poverty, and we intend to do so. The Leader of the Opposition thinks that maternity pay is excessive and would go back to the failment that puts hundreds of thousands of children into poverty.
Kevin Maiden, not the Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I echo the sentiments of the Prime Minister? The thoughts of the whole House will rightly be with the family of Lance Corporal Hooley, who tragically died supporting Ukraine in her fight for freedom. Can the right honourable gentleman tell the House why are his own MPs describing him as a caretaker Prime Minister?
Mr. Speaker, my own MPs are very proud. We've just passed a budget which protected our public services and our NHS. No austerity which brought our NHS to the ground. We've created the conditions for economic stability with the headroom we need. And, Mr. Speaker, we're concentrating on the single most important issue for families up and down the country, which is the cost of living, by taking £150 off their energy bills. That's in addition to the £150 for the 6 million of the poorest household. We're concentrating on what matters to the country. She's trying to save her job.
Mr. Speaker, let me answer the question for the Prime Minister. He's being called a caretaker because everyone can see that he's lost control of his party. And this lot, they're all so busy trying to replace him.
Order. Sorry. Can I just say the same people are making the same noises they made last week? I did say last week it wasn't the right time. I wouldn't do it this week. So please, let's not carry on with the way we left it last week. Kevin Baird.
Mr. Speaker, they can make as much noise as they like. We all know that this lot are so busy trying to replace him that they've taken their eyes off the ball. Let's start, Mr. Speaker, Wait for it. Let's start with the Energy Secretary, who wants to recycle himself as leader. He said he'd cut families' energy bills by £300. Can the Prime Minister tell the House how much have energy bills fallen by since the election?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm very pleased to say we're taking £150 off energy bills. I can also tell her that that's on top of the £150 we've taken off last year for the 3 million poorest families, now for 6 million poorest families. Mr. Speaker, she talks about leaving. The problem for us, last week,
Mr. May, I've told this side, I'll now tell this side. We don't need the pantomime auditions anymore, please.
Mr. Speaker, last week I pointed out that 3 of her ex-MPs went to reform. That included the former Deputy Chairman, Jonathan Gullis. He liked to think of himself as a straight talker. He said they're finished and they've lost the trust of the British people. In total, Mr. Speaker, 21 ex-Tory MPs have now left for reform. The real question, Mr. Speaker, is who's next? We can all see the Shadow Justice Secretary twitching after his come and get me plea from the member of Clacton. Mr. Speaker, we need no lessons from them.
Mr. Speaker, I asked him about energy bills. You could power the national grid on all of that hot air. He promised to cut energy bills by £300. Energy bills have risen by £187. But let's look at someone else who's making a mess. Let's look at the Education Secretary. There she is. Labour pledged to recruit 6,500 more teachers. So can the Prime Minister tell the House how many extra teachers are there since she became Education Secretary?
More than when they left office. I'm very proud to say so. We're in an upward trajectory. Mr. Speaker, they left our health service on its knees. They left our schools in a mess. They left our economy absolutely broken. They should be utterly ashamed of their record in service.
Wrong. Mr. Speaker, there are now 400 fewer teachers since she came into office. She's shaking her head. It's on the DFE website. Does she not check it once in a while? I can understand that the Right Honourable Lady is angry. We're all angry at the mess she's making. The Prime Minister doesn't know what's going on in energy. He doesn't know what's going on in education. Does he know anything about what's going on in the Home Office? Last year, the Prime Minister promised to recruit 13,000 more police officers. How's that going?
Prime Minister.
3,000 more by the end of March, and we're rising on police numbers. Mr. Speaker, they left the Home Office. The criminal justice system is utterly broken. Sir Brian Leveson has said on that. They lost control of our borders. They lost control of every single department. And she's obviously spent the morning rehearsing for the Liz Truss show. She's probably going to be the guest star next week. Both of them talking about how Liz Truss was 100% right. But what Liz Truss said was the Conservatives need to take... No, they don't want to hear it. The Conservatives need to take responsibility. The Conservatives need to take responsibility for their 14 years of failure. That was Liz Truss, their former leader. So perhaps she'll heed that, get up and say sorry.
Wrong again. I asked him how many police officers. There are now 1,300 fewer officers than at the election. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't know if the Home Secretary wants his job, but I do read that she's having conversations with Tony Blair because he's already given up on the Prime Minister. Why don't we talk about the Health Secretary? Let's see how he's doing. We do know he definitely wants the job. He said he'd end the doctor strikes. So can the Prime Minister tell the House how many appointments have been lost to strike action since last July?
Mr. Speaker, they left the NHS an absolute mess, with the highest waiting lists on record and the lowest confidence in the NHS ever. The Health Secretary said he would do 2 million extra appointments. He hasn't done 2 or 3 or 4. He's done 5 million extra appointments. That is because we invested in the NHS. What did they do? Having broken it, they voted against that investment. They should hang their heads in shame.
Mr. Speaker, I asked him how many appointments have been lost to strike action. He doesn't know. Let me tell him. We have lost 93,000 appointments to strikes since the Health Secretary gave doctors a massive pay rise. It's the truth. I know they wouldn't know the truth if it punched them in the face, but I'm telling them the truth. It is no wonder that we read this morning that the former Deputy Prime Minister has said about the Health Secretary she'd rather stick pins in her eyes than be on his golden ticket. And, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister congratulates himself on 5 million extra appointments. In our last year of office, we delivered 6.5 million extra appointments. Under Labour, Mr. Speaker, everything is getting worse. Jobs, bills, police numbers, teacher numbers, everything is getting worse. The Cabinet should be doing their own jobs. What are they doing? They're trying to compete for the caretaker's job. The only person who doesn't want the Prime Minister's job is the Chancellor. She's just trying to cling on to her own. Isn't it time, Mr. Speaker, that the Prime Minister admits that Labour isn't working?
Mr. Speaker, she's living proof you can say whatever you like when nobody is listening to anything you have to say. There's absolutely no substance. She's no credibility on the economy. She still believes that Liz Truss was 100% right. She wants to go back to austerity with £47 billion of cuts. She thinks the minimum wage should be frozen too high. She's got no credibility on foreign policy. She complains about trade deals she tried to get and we got. She says that we should stay at home and not attend NATO or the G7. On issue after issue, she's clinging on to reform. That's not leadership, it's weakness. No wonder so many are leaving her party. They know there's absolutely no reason to stay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thousands of families are moving into new estates only to discover that basic infrastructure, roads, drains and sewers remain in limbo, unadopted by public authorities.